Hello, in 1.9 we're going to talk about the different properties of math. So for the commutative, if we have A plus B, that's the same as saying B plus A. So 1 plus 2 equals 2 plus 1. Also, A times B equals B times A. 1 times 2 equals 2 times 1. It doesn't matter what order you add or multiply numbers in. The next one is the associative. And that is if you have A plus B in parentheses plus C. That's the same as saying A plus in parentheses B plus C. It's pretty much the same as a commutative. And it's saying it doesn't matter what order you add the numbers in. It's just that this time there are 3 of them. And then likewise, A times B times C is the same as saying A times B times C. It doesn't matter what order you're adding or multiplying, however many numbers that you have. The identity functions. A plus 0 equals A, or 0 plus A equals A. If you add 0 to anything, you're just going to get that same number. So 25 plus 0 equals 25. 0 plus 36 equals 36. For multiplying, A times 1 equals A, and 1 times A equals A. So 3 times 1 equals 3, 1 times 3 equals 3. We're going to use this a lot when we're getting to variables. So if we have just 1x, like x plus 2x, that means 1x plus 2x. Okay, the next is the inverse. And that's what we use to solve problems. If we have a plus a negative a, that equals 0. Likewise, a minus a is 0. For multiplication, if we have a times 1 over a, that equals 1. But if you remember that we can't have 0 in the denominator, a cannot be equal to 0. This is basically the same as saying a divided by a equals 1. Another thing to note is, and we've done this a little bit before, a times 0 equals 0. Anything times 0 equals 0. 0 divided by anything equals 0. And anything divided by 0 equals undefined or does not exist. Okay, so knowing those things, we can answer some questions where we have 0 over x plus 1. And here it's going to ask where is this undefined? And that is going to be where the bottom is 0. So what we do is x plus 1 equals 0. We solve for x by subtracting 1. X equals negative 1. So here, the answer would be any number except negative 1. So we could put a 5 in here. It's 0 divided by anything is just going to be 0. But unless it's 0 divided by 0, and negative 1 plus 1 equals 0. So that we can't do. So another way that they'll have it is 3 over x minus 5. And that is undefined at x equals 5. Because 5 minus 5 equals 0. So you'll have some questions where it says, where is this undefined? And it'll have some questions where it says, what numbers can we put in here? So for the first one, any number except, for this, it would be any number except 5, or we would say that it's undefined at x equals 5. So the next property is the distributive. And here, if we have a times, in parentheses, b plus c, that equals a times b plus a times c. So what we're doing is multiplying a times the first number and then a times the second number, and we keep the sign there. If we have something though like negative a times b minus c, then it's a negative a times b, which is negative ab, and negative a times negative c, which is positive ac. So make sure that if there's a negative in front, that you also distribute the negative. And we're going to see that more when we have one of the variables in there. If we had just numbers, 3 times 4 plus 1, we wouldn't have to say 3 times 4 is 12, and then 3 times 1 is 3. We could just say 4 plus 1 is 5, and then the 3. The last thing in this section is combined like terms, and that is as far as the variable goes. So if we have x plus 2y plus 3x minus y, we can combine the x's. So 1x plus 3x is 4x, and 2y minus y is 1y, or just plus y. So we can only combine things that are the same. So let's say that this is apples and oranges. So we have 4 apples and 1 orange. However, also note though, that if you have something like x squared plus x plus 2x plus 3x squared, x's are different than x squareds, so we can combine the x squareds. So we have 1x squared plus 3x squared is 4x squared, and we have 1x plus 2x is 3x. And that is it for 1.9.